Hey everybody, my name is Graham, and I'd like to talk about Islam and being the second largest religion in the world. I think we'll have more interactions with Islam as time goes by, as it is the fastest growing religion in the world. So the focus is just to understand our Muslim brothers and sisters better, to gain more appreciation and respect for them. And maybe like many of you, I had very little interactions with Muslims before when I was growing up, mostly here in Utah. And my first interactions actually began when I was in Spain for my church mission. I'd see these groups of Muslims walking to their mosque. I'd hear the call to prayer. And actually, most of my barbers in Spain were Muslim because they're always cheap and really pleasant. They're very kind, very respectful of what I was doing there as a missionary. And I left Spain with a really positive impression of these people, even though I really didn't know much about them or what they did. And I actually had an interesting experience this past summer during my internship. My coworker is Muslim, and she learned that I was from Utah and a member of the church. And she said, "Oh, I've had so many good experiences with members of your church." And I was actually really saddened when I went to church. When I went to college, I was saddened to hear that people were criticizing and mocking those of your faith. And because I've had so many good experiences with your church, I know of the quality and good people that you are. I'd always try to stand up for them. And that made me think, what kind of person would stand up for someone who believes differently than themselves? I thought that spoke volumes of this coworker. Even though she was a Muslim, she believes differently than me. She would stand up for me. And I said to myself, this is a quality person. And it actually got me thinking, Muslims and Christians, we're not so different from each other. Yes, we have our differences and they exist, but we actually have a lot of similarities. For example, with prophets, Muhammad, who is considered one of the founders of Islam, he received revelations about the nature of God, as well as the need to teach about there being only one God when there were many polytheistic religions around, about bringing back that which was once lost. And him and his little group of followers were actually persecuted and had to flee their homes. And in a similar way, Joseph Smith received revelations about the nature of God and about the need to restore that which was once lost. And him and the early saints were persecuted and had to flee their homes. So we have similar histories, actually, but in a lot of ways we have similar doctrines or similar beliefs. Fasting, I think there's a lot to learn from Muslims who fast. When they fast, it's an expression of gratitude. It shows their dependence on God, develops self-control, and helps them to think of the needy. That sounds a lot like why we fast, right? Why we have fast offerings and why we want to draw closer to God. In the same way, they also try to avoid harmful substances like alcohol. They don't drink alcohol. I know a lot who don't smoke. They know that these things are bad for them, and they strive to. They think it impedes them from being close to God. The same way we have the word of wisdom. They also have zakat, which is 2.5% of their income. They give to the poor and needy. In the same way that we give 10% to the church, but also just to do good, because we realize that what we have, and they realize that what they have is really God's bounty, and it's just giving back. It's a way to purify themselves and their wealth when they give back. Also, their relationship with God. I love that they pray 5 times a day. And that I think that just shows that they just want to stay close to God in all that they do, in all the aspects of their lives. Praying these 5 different time periods throughout the day reminds them, hey, God is the major focus of your life, and you need to keep him in mind in all that you do. I think we kind of do that too with prayers in our faith. I think their relationship with God is reflected in their actions. In the way that they care for one another, how they try to respect, even if you're from a different faith, the good that they do, that reflects the relationship with Allah, with God, and the good that they try to do. There's a story of the Native American medicine man who he was asked, by someone, hey, can you teach me the dance moves that you use to heal those in your tribe? In which he said, I can teach you the dance moves, but you have to learn to listen to the music. And I think that's really informative or instructive in that looking at people who are dancing without listening to the music, it looks really strange, really awkward. And the same way when we see, maybe applying it to Islam, when we see Muslims doing the dance moves of their faith, praying, fasting, and how they treat one another, or their customs, it might seem strange and really weird, but we gotta listen to their music. We gotta understand why they do the things they do, what's important to them. I think listening to their music helps us to gain greater appreciation for Muslims and their beliefs. I think there's a lot of good to learn from Muslims. They've helped me to learn more about God, and just really instructive. So my invitation is just to genuinely get to know your Muslim brothers and sisters, genuinely ask questions, try to get to know them. Why do they do the things that they do? And the church has actually made efforts to connect with Muslims by just inviting them to Salt Lake City. And there was a conference last week in which Elder Gong and Elder Bednar spoke about bettering our relationships with our Muslim brothers and sisters. Something that Elder Gong said that was really interesting was that greater understanding of one another helps us love one another. May we learn to share and understand openly and accurately, so we can meet with extended hands of respect and goodwill, not clenched fists of ignorance or antagonism. And so I'd just like to finish with the famous line in the song, "Why can't we be friends?" We so can be friends. Muslims are great people. A lot of them are great people. There's a lot to learn from them. I think taking the time to learn from them, we'll, we'll be able to apply what they have into our lives, and we can give of ourselves to them as well, and just create a better world. And that is it. Thank you.